Can you believe that Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment literally comes out in 3 days? It's pretty strange too, because as I feel like there has been a couple trailers, they really haven't given us like that big overview trailer or an insight in the game, how the game works, the mechanics, and even the level design, really anything about it outside a couple peeks of new characters and story information. So it's really up to us to piece everything together before the game comes out, and it seems like we're going to be going in pretty blind into this game. There hasn't even really been any leaks either, so yeah, this is probably like the first Zelda game in a long time where things aren't leaking, and you know what, it's a big mystery. But with that said, Nintendo has given us enough information to point to every single playable character and potential playable character so far, and there's even some that you might have even missed considering the fact that Nintendo uploaded some information on their Japanese website, and we also have new images of some of these new playable characters and information about them as well. So I'm super excited to dive into all of this, but before we dive in, we have a current goal to reach 400,000 subscribers, and right now we are just trying to reach 380k, so you can make that happen. Leave a like, subscribe, and make sure you share the video. But without further ado, let's dive into every single playable character that we know of, and even some that we can predict before the game releases. I didn't want to just show the characters and say, hey, this character is coming to the game. Instead, I actually compiled clips of every single combat clip that we have of every character so far, so that way I can better show how the characters will play as well, instead of just saying, hey, there's a Goron champion or a Zora champion. I mean, we know this, so let's get into the details, of course, starting with Princess Zelda. Now, she uses light powers, of course, like she always has, and she actually fights with a miniature Zonite sword. Now, most of her power and attacks comes from light energy and orbs and rays shooting from the sword, so she emits lots of light energy, and she can even use her light arrow like she could in past games. She can rain down beams of light from the sky or even extrude them from the ground, and even hold up a beam of light for her shield. Her attack patterns and design reminds me a lot of the Dominion Rod item that she had in the original Hyrule Warriors. Now let's shoot on over to King Rauru. We also have lots of demo footage of him, but he pretty much uses a Zonite spear and tons of Ultra Hand moves. He'll swing his long-range spear and even throw it out on occasion and grab it with his Ultra Hand and swing it around him like a crazy blade. Lots of his team-up attacks include throwing items out at the enemies and using his Ultra Hand in order to grab them and pretty much twirl them around. So right now, I would consider him a ranged heavy hitter. Well, what about Minoru? Well, she's pretty much the Zonai device girl. She will use all the Zonai devices that you've seen within the base Tears of the Kingdom game. She'll even ride a wheel around as her dash, but yeah, she can cause tons of things to construct and build right in front of her. She can build monster trucks with giant spiked tires that can run over the enemies. She can even drop giant spiked balls from the sky. So honestly, I think Rauru and Minoru are both just kind of Tears of the Kingdom the characters, if that makes sense. Where Rauru is the Ultra Hand ability in one character, and Minoru is the entire Zonai devices and constructs in one character as well. In fact, one of her team-up abilities, Zelda, is that Zelda can actually hop on the construct that Link does within Tears of the Kingdom and control it in order to use it as a giant mech against bigger enemies. Now, Sonia is a tough one because we hardly ever even see her. In fact, we only see her interacting with other characters or in cutscene clips. We don't really see her fighting. Now, in her official artwork for the game, they give her a giant bow with a light arrow, so of course she will have light abilities. Of course, being the great-great-great-grandmother of Zelda, technically, it only makes sense, and that's exactly where Zelda pulls her light energy from as well. I wouldn't be surprised if she also has the ability to rewind in certain situations, because that's the ability that she shows off the most in Tears of the Kingdom, and the one that actually teaches Zelda how to use that ability in that game as well. So yeah, I'm thinking tons of light powers, maybe the ability to rewind with some of her attacks, but for the most part, just being a light wielder. Next up, we have Kalamo, the brave little Korok. Once again, we don't see much of Kalamo besides like a couple of scenes which show his same exact special attack, where he throws out all these elemental fruit and then slashes it with his little forest dweller sword in order to detonate all of them. Now, this seems to be a team-up attack that he's doing as he jumps off the back of the mysterious construct, aka Robo Link, but it seems like he's going to be a little swordsman with the ability to throw elemental fruit for different effects, which actually seems pretty cool considering the fact that so far I haven't even gone over a simple sword fighter character yet. Now, of course, the mysterious construct is probably none other than a construct version of Link, of course with some new abilities as well. For instance, in a couple scenes we see him actually transform into a plane and fly in the sky, including one scene where he's flying in the sky and literally taking out an ice Gleeok. Now, what's interesting is Kalamo's actually riding him in this scene, so I'm not sure if this is like a special mission fight or some sort of part of the battle where they take you to the sky and then you fight in the sky. I don't know how this works. Is this a cutscene? Is this a boss takedown cutscene? Who knows, but he can fly. But it seems like he can use this as part of his moveset. Like, here's one move where he transforms from a plane back into a humanoid form and he comes crashing down and landing on the group of enemies. But if there's any doubt that this is some type of construct version version of Link, then put your doubts away, because his moveset is very similar to Link. His special attacks pull from past games, especially Age of Calamity, where he does his two-hand grab the hilt and spin around. This time his body parts can stretch and bend as he has robotic arms, so we'll probably also be able to change his weapons that he uses as well. Of course, we have to have a true sword fighter character, or it wouldn't be a Hyrule Warriors game. Next, let's move on to the 4 sages, where yes, we actually have their names. For the Goron sage, his name is Agriston. Now, of course, we don't have a lot of gameplay for these characters. All we can say is that they all harness their special weapons that we've seen from Breath of the Wild and of course Tears of the Kingdom. Of course, Agriston is very similar to the past Gorons that we've seen, like especially Daruk, where he uses his boulder breaker, he can even roll around the stage, and he has giant AoE attacks that cause lava pools to form amongst its enemies and dropping lava down on top of them as well. He also has a bit of Yunobo in him, where he doesn't just use his boulder breaker, but also his fist to use fiery punches as well. Next up, we have the Rito sage, Rafika. He of course uses the Great Eagle bow, but we only see a real shot of him holding some Zonai devices or causing an updraft to lift Zelda up in the air with their team attack. But the only actual attack that we see Rafika do is he takes up into the sky, uses the Great Eagle bow, and shoots a giant gust of wind energy down at the enemies below him. It's actually kind of cool because if you look closely, he uses his beak to pull the bow back as both of his feet are on the staff of the bow. For the Zora sage, we have Kia. Of course, she wields the light scale trident, but she has a unique move that not too many of the other Zora were actually able to do, where she can shoot streams of water literally out of her body parts. She can fire them out of her arms and even spit giant water streams out of her mouth, the same way an elephant would out of its trunk. Makes sense, doesn't it? And her special is really no different than any Rito we've ever seen in any Hyrule Warriors game, where she literally just causes a giant tidal pool and smashes it down on the ground to cause the wave to attack the enemies. And finally, we have the Gerudo Sage, the only one where we can actually see her face before she's granted the mask, which is pretty interesting. Her name is Artie. Now, so far from everything I've seen, Artie plays pretty much identical to that of Urbosa, where she's this strong, scimitar-wielding electric user who can strike enemies down with lightning bolts at any given moment. So honestly, lots of these sages are of course going to be just like the great champions in Breath of the Wild and also the descendants in that game as well, so expect them to all play rather similarly. Now, some of these other ones are going to be some guesses if they're going to be playable characters, but if you've ever played a Hyrule Warriors game, they're definitely not shy of making the weirdest characters actual playable characters, like the Great Fairy for crying out loud, so we can't put anything past them. This is Linelia, Zelda's Chamberlain, so yeah, she's pretty much just, there to take care of Zelda, to help Zelda out, so I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up making her a goofy playable character. She's actually listed on the main character cast, so maybe she will be a playable character and have to fight when it comes down to it, where maybe she's just like this goofy, joke character where she uses like cleaning supplies and stuff to fight enemies, like a broom, frying pans, notebooks, I don't know, she just throws whatever she has out at the enemy, but we always need that goofy character, and I just feel like that definitely could be Linelia. Plus, she's too big of a girl to not be out there fighting. I mean, look at her. Next up, we have Ganondorf. Of course, Ganondorf is going to be playable, right? Right? Now, even though Aster wasn't playable in Age of Calamity, we could play as a beast humanoid Ganon form in that game, so I'd be very shocked if there wasn't some type of side story or side mode or some type of reason for us to play as Ganondorf. I think it'd be cool if he had two forms, a regular Demon King form and then a powered up form with his secret stone, where he will essentially use all the weapons that he did in Tears of the Kingdom. He has his swords, his staff, and even his bow. Combine that with the ability to send out Phantom Ganons and even control Gloom and send out Gloom-based attacks, he would be an insane playable character, so I would be expecting to play as Ganondorf in some capacity, whether it be like a post-game additional thing that they grant you to do, or whether it be some type of side story where we play in the villain's point of view, very similar to the original Hyrule Warriors. Now, I do want to talk about these two characters real quick. They popped up in a couple of cutscenes in Tears of the Kingdom, and it seems to be Mune and Kotake from Ocarina of Time. There's a lot of theories out there, including the evidence of their robes being red and blue and the symbols on those robes as well, and there's just so much more evidence that other YouTubers have made. I don't feel like going into all that today, and we've even seen some scenes of them on the battlefield. In every scene that we see Ganondorf in the past in Tears of the Kingdom, they're always right there with him, right by his side as like his royal guard. So I'd be very shocked if they're not both playable characters with maybe fire and ice powers, and then maybe their team up attack together could be be to form Twin Rova. Could you imagine how cool that would be? We do have one final batch of fighters, and it doesn't really tell us much about them. It just kind of calls them like champion warriors or other warriors, other fighters in this game, but we do see some scenes of them actually fighting, and my first original theory was potentially these are all playable characters that we can customize. We can customize our own champion from every single region. Our own Goron, customize his moveset, the way he looks, our own Zora, Rito, Gerudo, and even Hylian, and so on. That would have been really awesome, but I'm not sure if that's the case now. The reason why I might be a little skeptical in this is because take the Hylian with the shield, for example. We know that his name is Typhon, which seems like he's going to be a well-established character in this story. Now, there could be a chance that Typhon is just a character that we can actually make and name, and it's a custom named character, because there's still something weird with this one, where they actually name drop all of the sages and talk about all the characters and their names. They never give us these names. On the official website, it just shows this image, and it simply just translates to something like other warriors from the other races will help to join. Now, we just don't know to what extent. Now, I'm still skeptical because out of these 5 characters we see right now, with the 2 Hylians, the 1 Goron, the 1 Zora, and the 1 Rito, there's still a character missing, but it seems like to be more than just one character missing. We can see another Goron warrior teaming up with Artie here. Now, look how they're not holding hands in order to do the team up, which normally is how the characters work. Instead, Artie is holding out her hand, imbuing the warrior with electric power. We can also tell that this seems to be a character that we can play as the camera pans right back behind her at the end of this attack, while Artie is continuing to fight onward at the top right. So yeah, this is a playable character to some degree. This same thing happens with the scene with Kia, where she holds out her hand and imbues the power of water to one of the warriors, where it looks like he's now about to strike an enemy. And it's interesting because if this is a playable character, it's a completely different Zora than the one that we see on the official artwork. Take this gameplay shot, where we can actually see Rauru, Zelda, Minoru, and some mysterious character. This seems to be some sort of Hylian warrior, but what's interesting is we don't see this character anywhere else in any other clips, and it doesn't match the 2 Hylians that we actually see in that artwork. Now, some people have made some connections as to what these 2 warriors look like, where the purple hair Hylian looks very similar to Violin, and the shield warrior looks very similar to Haas. So what is going on here exactly? My guess is still just customization. Like maybe we can create our own Hylian warrior, or our own Goron warrior, Zora, Rito, Gerudo, you know what I mean? Like that would be pretty awesome, honestly. Of course, we'll be able to find out if this theory is true very soon, but it's the only thing that makes sense, or there's just tons of characters in this game, and there's like 3 or 4 Hylian warriors or 3 or 4 Zora, and you know, so on, but I don't think is the case. So yeah, I'm putting my bets in, and I'm saying that it's going to be customizable characters. Now, if my theories are right and we can count every character that I talked about today as a playable character that's confirmed for this game, including 1 warrior from each faction, we would have around 18 characters. Now, there is about 22 to 26 characters in Age of Calamity. Why the random gap of numbers there? Well, that's because some characters were the same characters but with just different weapons that made them play completely different. So more along the lines of like 20 to 21 characters, which fits our kind of predictions so far. There's so many other characters they could introduce, like the Ancient Hero, because this was a whole costume in Tears of the Kingdom, the Ancient Heroes aspect. So who is this Ancient Hero? Who is this character? I would love to learn more about them and see who this is supposed to be. I know we have the mysterious construct that pretty much plays like Link, but I really want to see what this character is too. It'd be a shame if they just let him go to waste. And I know a lot of people have also brought up like it'd be really cool to see like maybe Sonya and Raru's daughter. Maybe they had a daughter and like we didn't see anything about her, or son or something like that. I don't know. Maybe the Ancient Hero is the son of them. Who knows? But I think there's definitely some secret characters and stuff that we don't know about yet. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of the playable cast so far? And do you have any theories that could explain some of these characters, like some of those extra warriors from the factions? Let me know down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out, and I hope you all have a blessed day. The game is out in 3 days, guys. See ya.